Time for the waiver wire presented by YouTube TV. Florio, who should we be checking for in week 7?
Check for Kirk Cousins and Caleb Williams, who are both still just under 60% roster. Daniel Jones continues to run, and he gets a good matchup against the Eagles next week. And for you deeper league players or 2-quarterback league players, Drake May, I know it wasn't the prettiest game, but it was productive. And Spencer Rattler, if you're in a 2-quarterback league. Check if Bucky Irving is out there because he still floats around just about 60% rostered right now. Sean Tucker, I think, is worth taking a shot on after what he did. Jalen Warren is back for the Steelers. And then Isaac Arendo and Case Jordan Mason cannot play next week. And Ty Chandler, I know it's a tough matchup, but Aaron Jones did get hurt the last time we saw the Minnesota Vikings, so make sure to keep an eye on him. Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs, they played really well. Jordan Love is balling out right now, and Wicks got hurt. Xavier Legette caught a touchdown. Rashad Bateman is probably playing a little bit better as of late than he is getting credit for. A couple of Colts with Alec Pierce and Josh Downs. Demario Douglas had a lot of targets from Drake May. I don't think that should be ignored. Cade Otton continues to bring a safe floor. Zach Ertz is tied to one of the greatest quarterback prospects, at least statistically speaking, that we have seen in quite some time. And then Jatavion Sanders, don't look now, he was second in targets and yards for the Panthers in week 6.
I have been kind of keeping an eye on Jatavion Sanders. Like, he was sort of my deep league, like, back pocket sort of situation. We'll see what happens. Did want to ask, though, about Bucky Irving. And Laquan, I'll direct this to you because you were big on King Tuck. Rashad White is still there. There was some talk from Todd Bowles earlier on Monday that Tucker could work in, making this a 3-man backfield. This feels like worst case scenario, Laquan.
Yeah, I mean, Rashad White might pull an end game where Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. Like, he might be fading away out of the backfield because Sean Tucker might be a real thing. Like, the numbers he put up look like Derrick Henry numbers, man. Like, this is not something that I think is going to go away because Sean Tucker right now, even with his limited abilities, he's one of the best in-between tackle runners right now when it comes to rushing yards over expected. So Bucky Irving will have his role still in cement, being that he might be the more pass down catching back. But Sean Tucker, man, have a day, man. Like, seriously, putting up the numbers that he put up in this limited time that he's had opportunity, Rashad White is in danger for his job just based on these two running backs showing up and showing out and showing that they have the ability to push this rushing game forward. I don't know if Rashad White is going to be turning back anytime soon, but I don't know if he's going to return back to valuable touches in this backfield when you have two guys showcasing their talents the way they've been doing it these last couple of weeks.
All right, well, that's a perfect way to get to real or Mirage as we talk about some guys who went big and whether or not they can keep it going. And Florida, I will ask you about Sean Tucker. I mean, what we saw, is it real? Is it viable? Or is it a product of him sort of playing in garbage time when the Bucs were starting to run away with that thing against Spencer Rattler and the Saints?
I'm going to call Mirage here. I'm not doubting like Tucker and his talent and everything like that, but prior to yesterday, he had 3 touches on the season. And like you said, look, a couple of big runs, but it was a game that was largely out of hand. I think this is worst case scenario for Bucky Irving and Rashad White because if it's 3 backs getting involved, I don't want really any part of that for fantasy. But I don't think Rashad White is just going to go away either. So I think you take a shot on Sean Tucker, see if he could build on this, but I'm not going to be spending a ton of fab or anything like that on him.
One thing I learned yesterday, there's a Sean Tucker hive, man. He started balling, and all of a sudden, all these people were just like, "Yeah, man." I don't doubt that people always believed. I just didn't know a thing existed. That's all.
Fantasy streets were buzzing, man.
I was just surprised that a thing like that existed. In Baltimore, Zay Flowers with a couple of big games back to back. I know a lot of folks saw this, so at least predicted this one coming this week against the Commanders. But I mean, Laquan, as we look around and we've all been frustrated by the Ravens tight ends, could it be that Zay Flowers is the pass catcher we want in Baltimore?
Yes, this is real just based on the back-to-back career highs he's had. I mean, this is honestly working. Like, I'm liking this new identity that the Ravens have on offense right now. They're probably one of the best offenses in the NFL right now, based on this rushing attack with King Henry back there, Lamar Jackson playing some of his best football right now. And when Lamar's playing his best football, as you could see, Zay Flowers becomes more electric as the drives go on. So I think more so, if you have Zay Flowers, you're sitting there happy that you're able to get him where you got him in drafts. But I think this may be a real thing for the rest of the season that you should feel confident about Zay Flowers in those starting lineups.
Last two games, 21 targets, 16 catches, 243 receiving yards
Big
for
boy
Zay
number.
Flowers. Still just the one touchdown way back in week 2, but you got to figure with this sort of target share, another touchdown is probably coming for him. Florio, Evan Engram, we talked about. Was that?
Oh, he had a career high in yards yesterday. It all came in the first half. Insane.
That's wild. That's exactly wild. I mentioned tight ends, I think, starting to wake up. Evan Engram might be the hero we have been asking for a while. 10 catches. I mean, he immediately comes back and gets a ton of opportunity. I mean, we saw this last year, but I mean, I got to ask, because in the year where tight ends have been frustrating us, is this for real with Evan Engram?
Yeah, I will say I obviously was a big doubter of Evan Engram, and so far this year, look, week 1 wasn't great. Then he got hurt and missed a bunch of time. But we do know that he is a favorite of Trevor Lawrence's. And if you were getting consistent volume at the tight end position, you are real and you are worth starting. So, Evan Engram, 10 catches, 102 yards. I know he had a fumble, but he was clearly someone that Trevor Lawrence was making a conscious effort to get the ball to. And him and Brian Thomas Jr. are making it tougher and tougher now, it seems, to trust Christian Kirk, because the bar for tight end is so much lower that I'm going to start Evan Engram if I have him. Whereas for a wide receiver, I think it might be time to try to get away from Kirk.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I feel like because he and Evan Engram sort of exist within the same area on the field, I'm going to lean with the tight end just because, as you mentioned, the bar for a quality tight end start is so much lower than it is for a quality wide receiver start. We know Brian Thomas has the downfield opportunities sort of on lock in this offense. So we'll see. Also, just again, the Jaguars offense, just not what we want it to be.
Too much Gabe Davis.
Lot of Gabe Davis. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't care. I'll never roster him.
Bills fans know all about that for sure.